Hey everybody, welcome back to Caveman Security. It's your host Robbie, and today we're going to talk about another OWASP Top 10 API. So today we're going to talk about unrestricted access to sensitive business flows. Okay, so let's go through it. So real quick, what is business flow? So this is like a sequence of actions. Think about this. You register an account, you purchase an item, you claim a coupon, reset your password, stuff like this. So it's not necessarily anything too technical, but it's how the business works. So that's why when you're looking for like software development jobs, you're not really based off your technical skill, but you're based off, do you understand business logic? So if you understand business logic and business flow, a lot more times you're going to get hired. Okay, so the problem. So the process works, but nobody asked, what if a user abuses it? And this is true. A lot of times we don't think about abuse when it comes to normal processes. So we now need to take the time to think about that. So here's some real world examples. So you can abuse a coupon. You can probably use it like 10 or 20 times. You can do reward farming. You can do ticket scalping, fake account creation, many things. So the more things you can do to abuse it without doing anything technical, the bigger the reward, right? So why security tools miss this? I think a lot of times people are really worried about business tools, developer tools, everything. So the request is legitimate. There's no real wrong answer there. There's no SQL injection. There's no cross-site scripting. Nothing that's legitimately technical. So a lot of times you kind of go, oh, well, crap. I need to think about how I can fix this, right? So here's a good example of a coupon abuse. So we sit there and say, okay, I'm going to use a coupon once. That's what should happen. But maybe someone says, I'm going to use it 1,000 times. Oh, okay. So now we have a big problem, right? Ticket abuse. Maybe you need to create a ticket, buy a ticket, whatever. The goal is just to buy it. Now you can sit there and say, okay, I'm going to buy all of them at once. So maybe I'll use like Burp Suite and do like a sweep of like 20 or 30 tickets, and boom, they're all mine now. Okay, so that's kind of bad. Okay. So again, why do attackers love this? It's a high reward, low risk, right? Because there's nothing technical. I'm not breaching anything. I'm not stealing anything. I'm not doing anything inherently bad. I'm just abusing a business flow. I'm abusing business logic. So really, yes, like it's illegal. It could be bad, but it's not as severe as me creating some sort of SQL injection, for example. Okay. So how can developers prevent this? I think you guys need to think about adding business rules. Kind of think about one-time purchases, purchase limits, maybe have a referral validation, use JWT tokens attached with your coupons, stuff like this. Have fraud detection. Always check for abnormal requests, right? Behavior monitoring. Is someone playing around with HTTP requests that they shouldn't, or are they kind of playing around with the buttons too much? So kind of these small things really help make a bigger impact for the business. Okay, so let's talk about a good example from API in the wild. So there was a researcher named Ian. He had looked at Stripe. Stripe is a service that you can use to run your business and get money and take transactions, stuff like this. So what happened was he was able to find an unlimited discount fee redemption, and he was able to abuse this. I think he got like a $5,000 reward, and the severity was medium because he was able to kind of do something, but it wasn't like astronomically impactful, right? But this was API 6, which is what we're looking for. So what happened? So the business logic said, okay, you can use the discount code, but you can use it multiple times. So the attacker sent the promotion over and over and over and over. So the impact of that was huge financial loss for Stripe. They lost a lot of money, probably suffered a big deal with that. Of course, they saw the abusive promotional campaigns. It's kind of huge. And it was an unfair advantage over legitimate users. So obviously this person probably got away with buying something for free, probably, or maybe like a very small amount of money. So maybe like, let's say the amount was like $100. You probably walked away with it for like $1, right? So you got to really think about that. Okay, so why this API 6 was important? So this was just a normal functionality, nothing crazy, but there was no restrictions on redemption frequency. So he was able to abuse it as many times as he wanted. Okay, so they didn't have abuse detection in place. There was no enforcement of business rules, so he could just do whatever he wanted, right? So again, he didn't perform some magical hack. He just abused the system that they created. So that should give you some idea of how you should be careful with that. Okay, so the attacker's mindset. Most attackers don't ask, can I break this? They say, can I make money from this? Or can I get something for free? Okay, so some questions you can ask yourself. Can I redeem this coupon a couple times? Can I do it 100 times? Can I automate the process? Can I create multiple accounts and do it? So think about how you're looking for those, okay? So again, how to hunt for that. Look for valuable things inside the website. Is there coupons? Is there rewards? Is there points? Is there gift cards? The more things that you can see that offer some sort of monetary value or incentive, you can abuse it, right? So I'm trying to make this pretty brief, so I do apologize for going so quickly. But one thing I want you to think about with the key takeaways. So business rules are weak. They just worried about functionality, but they're not worried about the abuse behind it. Users can abuse workflows very easily as long as they understand how a website works. That's why I always reference a couple of my mentors or people that I look up to in web application security. They talk about understand the flow of the web application before looking at the attacks, because if you understand how the website works, you're going to do great. Finally, processes trust users too much. So again, people say, okay, it works. All right, I'm going to do it again and again and again. So again, we got to think about how we can fix that, okay? All right, guys, so that's it. Let me go ahead and show you a demo with Crappy API. We're going to kind of take a look at some abuse, okay? So let's go and get started. Okay, so I actually decided to kind of make a little something simple, just kind of a visual representation. So I made this a really, really simple web application. I used AI because, AI is really useful. So I just want to kind of show you the business logic of how this would work, because I was going to use Crappy API, but actually their business logic was solid and the coupon only worked once. So not really great for my demonstration, but I think it's really important to kind of take a look at this a little bit. So we see here that our balance is $20, our message is our demo reset, and we're 0 coupon. So let's go ahead and look at the buy coffee option. Let's look at the endpoint. So here we see charged $2.50. We use the code caveman50. We got 50% off. So now our remaining balance is $17.05. So now let's see, will it work again? Boom, 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 boom. Okay, so now we've used it multiple times, like 6-7 times. Now we have a 0 balance, okay? So, and now of course if I do it again, not enough balance. So this is really important, okay? So now we can see that this kind of logic could be abused if we just keep clicking, and our coupon balance goes higher and our balances goes lower. So kind of interesting. But now let's reset the demo. Let's look at the fixed API. So we'll just click, and so I paid the same price, $2.50, caveman 50, 50% off, $17.55, right? So if I click it again, oh, hey, coupon already used, fixed message, this business rule is now enforced. Okay, so this kind of shows you, hey, this is what I did at the beginning. Maybe they said, oh crap, this guy got like 6 coffees and paid like almost like no money, or he got really cheap discount. We need to fix that. So in this example, we see that it was fixed, right? So I just want you guys to look at that logic for a moment and see like how the API works, right? Because if we can see, okay, hey, this is like the response from like this request, we can see it can be abused pretty quickly. Obviously business logic, they're trying to say, hey, no, thank you. Okay, so guys, this is just like a really quick and dirty example, but I really want you guys to drive the point home that, take a look at these coupons. Can you apply it multiple times? Is it really easy to use? Stuff like this, and try to abuse it. Okay, now don't actually go out and get like a 2-cent coffee, but just try to understand the logic. How is the API functioning? What is it doing? And this makes a lot of sense. Okay. So also one last thing, I just want to kind of show what it would look like from a Kaido perspective, just to kind of take a look at the logic. So here we can kind of see, I already did this earlier, so we're going to look at the recent one, and we see a coupon and we see the charge, right? So we can kind of see from here's what the request looks like, and this is what the response looks like. So we can see we can kind of abuse this multiple times. I could probably, take this and put in replay like a dozen times, and we would see what happens, right? So guys, I know this isn't like an official Crappy API walkthrough, but there's no real walkthrough for Crappy. So I wanted to show you guys what this looked like in a very simple way and kind of how the API functions. So hopefully you guys liked it, and we'll see you guys in the next video. Thank you.